Hi, how's it going? This is Resident of Collinwood for YouTube, here to talk about Benight and Beguile, Book 4, Chapter 13, Thy Will Be Done. I'm here to give an overall review of Book 4, really, too. When I think back a couple years ago when we first got these characters, what Book 4, Chapter 13 really shows me most of all is not just how these characters change so much. What John does a really good job of making you ask, did you ever really know these characters at all? And I like that. I like that when somebody does that as a writer, it makes you question, well, did you really know these characters? Or did you assume you knew them? Or do you think you know them? Because if you think you do, you may want to think again. And I think that's such a great job as a writer who brings makes his characters be so diverse that you never really know which way they're going to turn. Even Evie, you don't know. It's not, that's what makes his stories so good. Though I've read them, they're not predictable. I make predictions and often I'm wrong. Um, so, and no, that's not just the reason. He always comes back with something different each time for his stories, whether it was Return of Dark Shadows or To Be Night and Beguile. You know, but by the way, I, the Savannah story I think was good. That's just my opinion. I'm still waiting on that Halloween story. No, no. But with this, he does such a good job of, you know, talking about each character and each character's reaction to another character or a character's interaction with another character and how that interaction affects this other, not just the two characters who are having an interaction with each other, but other characters around them, who may not be in the room when they're having a conversation. They may be talking about another character, and that conversation could affect another character. We just don't know how. And I think what that really is a mark of a great writer who should be selling books, um, in my opinion. And that's the thing. He's really, really, really talented. And look, there are many talented writers who came before John. I talk about Walter B. Gibson, who was an excellent pulp writer. Created the Shadow, wrote the Shadow. Um, I see, I see a bit of Gibson. I see a lot of other pulp writers too. There's one I'm thinking about. God, I see a lot of Robert E. Howard, someone who visualizes their story very well and visualizes the environment of their story very well. And that's not easy to do. It's not something that is taught to you in a sense. To visualize your story isn't taught to you. That's something you have to know how to do. And John knows how to do that very, very, very well. And it shows. It shows not only in The Return of Shadows, it shows in To Be Night and Beguile. It doesn't do me justice just to read the chapter, and I'm more talking about the story itself and how the writer has been able to really do a phenomenal job in keeping these characters interesting. We met this woman named Evangeline Jordan, Evie Jordan, who was coming to be married to um, Sebastian Lord, and Sebastian ends up getting shot the day of their wedding. You also have Jacob Lord, Sebastian's uncle, who plotted the murder. Think about that for a second, and think about where those two characters started off and everything else Jacob has done, from murdering you know, for murdering Sebastian's mother, Sabrina, to framing David, his own brother, Jacob's own brother, Sebastian's father, for the murder of Sabrina. And here, yet by toward the end of this story, not this chapter, but the previous chapter, we have Sebastian going, I need to trust you because there are bigger issues here than me and you, than what you've done. And even I think what was so great about that is Jacob came to that realization as well. Okay, I thought I was a bad dude, but I'm not that. And I think that's a really, I've talked about this with movies where there are very few writers, and this is what I mean. There are very few writers in this world who can take a bad character and make you understand they have a reasoning beyond the bad that they've created. John does that with Jacob Lord. He does it better than any horror writer I've ever seen do. This has been attempted in horror, and it doesn't come across well. It's been attempted in Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2. It's been attempted in Nightmare on Elm Street, the remake. It didn't come across well. It comes across well here because not only has John taken the time to build up Jacob Lord's victims, he's taken the time to build up Jacob Lord and how what Jacob Lord sees himself as for who he is. He can also see bigger pictures of other people. It's what causes him to recognize, and him being bad is what causes him to recognize Caspian Castador as this evil manipulative bastard and beyond. Like this guy's worse than me, and I'm not having you in my house. You know, if you're going to endanger my whole family, no, that's where I draw the line. And it's when a villain draws a line, you either accept it or you don't. And as a reader, I accept it because it was so well built. Again, I wanted to read this today. Instead of reading, I'm just talking about it because I feel that does it more justice. I'm going to leave a link to the final chapter below for Book 4, Chapter 13. Yes, you should go read this. Go read the entire thing. Go read from Book 1 to now and see what I'm talking about. Because the best compliment I can give to really the writer who wrote this, and John Phillip Bettencourt, is he's every good as Robert E. Howard was, and he's ever good as Walter B. Gibson was. And he's a lot better than what the horror writers out there do. Because what the horror writers have attempted to do in making heels semi-good or semi-neutral, and they failed miserably at, John does not fail at it. He gets it across because he's made it a point to tell you a story, not just of one character, but all the characters on Welshport Island. All the characters. And that's a mark of a great writer. That's somebody who should be publishing books. Really, really enjoy. I've really enjoyed To Benight and Beguile very, very much, if not more than Return of Dark Shadows, and that's saying something. He has literally created a whole other world, yet again, for readers to enjoy, and it should be enjoyed by all. And I hope people go and read this. Um, Book 4, Chapter 3 will be in the description box. You can follow John at Benight Beguile, at Pop Rag on Twitter. Go follow him on Twitter. He's on Facebook. Go check him out on Facebook, John Phillip Bettencourt. Really, no laughing matter. Really amazing writer. Really is. You guys have a great day.